Control deck, that is Hercules away. Control deck, that is Hercules past the transom. Control, back deck, that is tether, all out. Control deck, that's Atalanta away.
Copies.
Van Winch.
Van, go ahead.
Here, I'll stop 49 meters. Are you ready for control?
You're ready for control.
Sent.
Would have been a banger.
Alright, am I good to provide an audio slate? Yeah, if I can just ask for control room to be a bit quiet for a sec. I don't think so, but yeah, we're probably fine. Okay, this is an audio slate for dive H2079. UTC time is 232015. Mark. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to check in. Are we good to come on to SPL and do some introductions, or do we need like just a few more minutes?
Just give us a couple more minutes. We're just getting situated.
Awesome. Take your time. Thank you.
Hey, ROV, I'm going to turn off auto iris so it might go a little dark for a sec.
It's good. I have, 20 years of those incidents all stacked up in my brain, and then it's just everything. Every single. I am every time I sit a pair of butterflies. Like, what next? It's good. It's the way you want to be. It's like nervous energy.
I've always thought that Josh has Chihuahua energy.
What's that? Sorry, I can't hear you. Really? I think it was that bad.
Absolutely not. I'm just joking.
It's a lab crossed with a Burmese, which probably is about right. Kind of a chill lab.
Yeah, I'd say
Energy.
it's accurate.
Angus. I finally got his name on one of the connectors. I don't want to see this here. Yeah. Like Fletcher.
If you write the N really poorly, it can even be Argus.
Yeah, sure.
What's our starting bottom time? Or
About
bottom?
3,000 is the target.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
84 minutes away.
Whew.
Yeah, I'm on a spill now, yeah. Yep, sure. We could do introductions. Front row's ready.
Amanda, did you get that?
I did. Thank you so much for checking in. Is the back row ready for introductions on SPL? Just wanted to check in.
You can always start with the front row.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. It's so wonderful to have you. I'm so glad that we're all here for today, and thank you so much for your expertise in getting all of us ready for this this new bout of exploration. My name is Amanda Dedicatoria. I'm a freelance writer and filmmaker from the island of Guam, and I'm sitting here and joining you as your science communication fellow for this watch. For the front row, please, whenever you can. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah,
Max.
my name is Max. I'm a video engineering intern, and I'm sitting in the video seat for this watch.
And my name is Rye. I'm in the Atalanta co-pilot seat today.
Everybody, Josh Chernov, ROV Operations Manager in the Herc seat.
Good morning. My name's Dan Toriello. I'll be your navigator today.
Awesome, thank you. And for the back row? Let's start off with Menzel.
Morning, everyone. My name is Menzel Nurmedi. I'll be on board as the culture liaison for Palau. Thank you.
And
There we go. Now you can hear me. My name is Jeff Drazen, and I am the watch lead for this particular watch. I'm a professor at the University of Hawaii and a deep sea ecologist, and I study deep sea food webs and deep sea fishes.
awesome.
Hi everyone, my name is Greta Sartori. I work as a researcher for the Palau International Coral Reef Center, and I'm going to be a guest scientist on this watch, giving a help to Jeff.
Ali everyone, my name is Noelle Halder. I am the science coordinator for the Ocean Exploration Trust, and I'm sailing as a data logger for the 8 to 12 watch.
Awesome, thank you all so much. I really wanted to announce that I've just been informed that we have gained a new superfan. She is extremely dedicated and amazing. She is my friend's 4-year-old daughter, and she has been enthusiastically watching our streams and enjoying us on our show here. She is a frequent and dedicated purveyor of the hit academic online sensation Octonauts, and has been identifying everything as we go. At just 4 years old and with all that knowledge and that skill, Jeff, I think she's on her way to identifying more things than you can.
Ah, that's fantastic. Got to start them early.
Yeah. 4 years old. That's amazing.
That's great.
So thank you all so much. What are we excited to see today? Other than this magnificent blue.
I want to see the Magna Pinna squid.
Oh,
Still.
Cephalopods.
Yeah, cephalopods. That's what we miss. We found an egg though yesterday, right? An octopus egg.
Octopus
Yep.
egg. How
Yeah.
was that? How do you process those?
Well, all the samples when they come up, we identify them and we preserve them, typically in alcohol, and they'll get processed mostly back ashore when we have more time and more space. But yeah, it was fascinating.
Yeah.
There was a little arm poking out of the egg case. So yeah, we know it's a little
one
little
better.
octopus egg case.
Wow, that's amazing. Do we know what kind of octopus it could be?
Not sure yet. We really have to open it up and probably also do some genetic testing to find out.
Wow, that's really exciting. Anyone else? What are you excited to see or hoping to see?
The bottom.
I wanted to ask Jeff about his the IDs of the fish. Did they match what you thought they would be?
Yeah, so the little we caught 2 fish yesterday. The cusk eel, which was the very long, skinny one with the whip-like tail, was in fact in the genus Porogatus, and the fish is preserving now, and I will take a closer look to see if I can identify it to species later. The rat tail was so dark in color, and it was very, very small. I could barely look through some of the characters, so it's preserving now, and after it's preserved, and I'm sure that the DNA is safe, then I'll take it back out and further identify it. But
Cool.
yeah,
That's awesome.
it was really exciting. That was the first rat tail that I have ever been on watch for that was collected with an ROV. Collected many with other techniques, but not with ROV before.
By Josh on our watch here, so skillfully.
Josh and Rye. That was definitely, it's all a team effort.
Oh yes, that was excellent.
Yeah, no, that was super fun. Everyone was like so excited. That's what's so neat about this group, is that when the vehicles come up and all the samples are there, it's not just the science team that's all excited looking at the samples. We're all running and checking everything out and oohing and on, and it's cool to see everyone from all different disciplines just super pumped about what we managed to collect. So grateful to be able to have an opportunity to carefully sample all those things from the seafloor. It's a special experience.
Definitely. Yeah, Noelle, is there anything that you're kind of excited to see or experience?
Yeah, always excited to see what's down there, and it's always a fun surprise. I am still keeping my eyes peeled for some really dense coral forests down below. Those just blow my mind every time we see them, so I'm always excited about those ecosystems.
They're
Dan,
beautiful.
just mute your
They're-
mic.
They're
if
as
you're-
colorful as flowers. Max, are you excited to see anything?
Yeah, hoping to see more cool fish and cephalopods and whatever else might be there.
Awesome. And how about you, Rye? Anything that you're hoping to see?
I'm not kidding. I actually am hoping to
'cause
see the
I
bottom. Whenever we dive this deep.
Are they asking me?
There's a lot of investment in just getting down. It takes us such a while to get the ROVs down there. So yeah, whatever we see, I'm excited.
Oh, thank you so much for that. Let's
What
see.
about you, Amanda?
Me, I'm a big fan of cephalopods and idarians, so squid. Hoping we see a nautilus, octopuses. I love jellies and anemones. So, but I'm here for it all. Thank you so much for asking. And let's see. How about you, Josh?
Sorry, my brain was somewhere else. What was the question?
Oh, sure. What are you hoping to see? What are you excited about?
Oh, what am I hoping to see? Yeah, I'm hoping we find some areas with I like the dense coral areas, because that tends to house a lot of other things as well. All the associates that live around those areas. So just the diversity, I'm interested. The areas are the same in some respect, but they're also very different. So, the varying biodiversity is always of interest to me. The different kind of rock formations and the different sort of microbe habitats that you come across. You know, you'll be looking at a lot of geology for a while, and all of a sudden, boom, you come across a spot where there's just a ton of stuff growing, and I kind of find that fascinating.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that insight. Jeff, could you just go into like what is the overall goal of this particular expedition and why was this site chosen?
Sure. So we are here in Palau to gather information about deep sea ecosystems and habitats. There has been work in the past that has evaluated these ecosystems in very shallow water, which is quite well studied in Palau, and down to depths of maybe about 500 meters. And then there's just a little bit of study that's actually occurred in the Palau Trench and out on the abyssal plain between 5,000 and 8,000 meters. But most of the water between roughly 500 and 5,000 meters has barely been explored. The National Geographic program was here in a couple of times, the last time in March, and they've done baited camera work down to 2,000 meters. I was here for that in March, and we saw lots of new things. It was really marvelous. And then this is the first ROV work to occur in these depths. So the hope here is to gather as much information as we can to help inform the Palau government and managers of the Palau National Marine Sanctuary, and just sort of help them with understanding the ecosystems that are in their purview. So in addition to the ROV dives, we're also collecting water samples for their eDNA surveys, and that's a interesting technique that just uses sequence data collected from water samples to give you an idea of the diversity of organisms that live in a particular area.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And Menzel, we are just outside, or just west of Baba Daob Island. Could you talk to us about like sort of the meaning behind the name and the significance of this area?
Well, specific to Palau's waters, this side of Palau usually are known for, when it comes to shallow waters, this side of Palau the shoreline is lined with mangroves compared to the other side of the eastern side of Palau is beaches. And the significance of that is because of the reefs. On the eastern side of Palau, the reefs are much closer, so it causes erosion on the shoreline, and it makes a specific topography, and that results in beaches. On the other side, mangroves, and that makes, culturally, it's important because that was the way of life of people on the western side of Palau. And this extends, a lot of them traditionally didn't have a lot of resources, so they depended on what they had in the inner reefs. So exploring what's beyond the reef is significantly important for them because it gives them a sense of ownership to the resources that they have, and this will give them an opportunity to see what they don't know that they have. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that. I think we had a conversation with Blodak. It was Daob means ocean. Is that correct?
Yeah. So Baba Daob means the upper ocean, basically. So Palau is from Koror. Koror is like the center. Koror is the main business district, and it's located in the center of Palau. And above that is Baba Daob, which is the upper ocean, and below that is Yol Daob, which means lower ocean. So right now we're at Baba Daob, which is upper ocean, and I think after the 15th, November 15th, we're going to go to the lower ocean, basically. The translation is, yeah.
Wow, thank you so much for that insight and for that context. Now, I just wanted to pose a question to everyone as we're going down. During these parts of the expedition and in your experience, in your position, what are some of the moments that you find gratifying?
Certainly anytime we see something new, something that we don't recognize, something that's maybe a new species, or simply just something that I haven't seen before, that's always a really gratifying experience. It's great being an explorer.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And how about you, Greta?
I would say there's two sides of my job that I really enjoy and I found very gratifying, and for sure the field work is my favorite, or one of my favorites, because what we experience underwater in the waters of Palau is really unique, and sometimes we see really incredible things that leave us completely speechless, between fishy spawning aggregation or huge sharks or all the way to whales when we do our expedition to actually survey for these big animals. And another side of my job I really find gratifying is the data analysis side, because that allows me to really understand what I'm looking at and have a deeper understanding of nature, and it's also a very hard process. So when you get to the end of it, I feel like the gratification is very big.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And how about you, Noel? What are some of the parts of your experience that kind of feel gratifying?
Yeah, I would echo what both Jeff and Greta just shared, and think specifically on this ship. In addition, we are constantly doing live interactions back to shore and interacting with classrooms and groups from all over the world. And it's certainly gratifying to hear the excitement from young voices in particular, and people that maybe don't have the chance to be on the ship right now, and being able to share that perspective is also gratifying.
Definitely. I can't describe the rush of happiness that comes when you have a room of 100 middle schoolers screaming at a Dumbo octopus along with you. It's been wonderful to interact with them throughout this week. Manzel, how about you?
It's almost like everyone else's experience. To me and to a lot of Palauans, this is like, I would consider this like the Wild Wild West. It's our greatest frontier that's unexplored, and having the opportunity to do web interactions with the students from Imalik and Maristela Elementary School the past couple of days, I don't know, it kind of makes me feel like a kid again, and the curiosity that I used to have when I was a kid. I still have it, but have this opportunity to basically refresh that sense in me. Yeah, so it's very gratifying.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. And Rai, what are some of the moments that you find sort of gratifying?
Yeah, I really love when we see something cool and everybody in the van gasps like little children. I'm sure a lot of us grew up watching things like Blue Planet and all those kind of nature documentaries, and so whenever we see something that I'm watching it on the screen and I'm going, man, this could be like something I was watching when I was a kid. I find that really gratifying.
That's beautiful. And now you're here, like doing it in real time with people who are just as excited to experience it as you are. Such a special time. And how about you, Josh? What are the moments that you find especially gratifying?
Yeah, I think for me, in this group, this organization at OET, I've had the opportunity to sort of get involved in the kind of bigger picture operation, of the ship and deck operations, ROV operations. And so I think just, getting a better understanding of the challenges behind the opportunity of just even putting the ROV in the water and all the work that goes in behind to make that happen. So I find that pretty gratifying. It's a lot of work by a lot of people.
Yeah.
And we're so grateful, like Jeff was saying, just to be, exploring and just sort of taking a step back sometimes and just seeing all the work that goes into even making that possible to get down to the seafloor and see all these things and collect all this data is, I find, quite gratifying overall.
I share those exact same feelings. Thank you so much for...
Amanda, if I could just add.
Yes, of course.
A part of that is a part of our culture, the knowledge of the ocean. Mostly, like I've said before, our knowledge is limited to the edge of the reef, and having this opportunity to kind of go beyond that, in a way, traditionally it gives us an opportunity as a people to evolve, to extend our practices beyond the reef with the same kind of sentiment that we've had in the past for inner reefs and then also resources on land. So it gives me great gratitude to know that our culture and as a people we are able to extend that beyond what we've had before.
Definitely, and thank you so much for your role as one of our storytellers, for giving that insight into your beautiful culture and the waters and the lands and the organisms that we get to see here. Dan, what are some of the moments that you find gratifying during your experience here?
Well, there's just so much complexity on this ship in terms of the electronics and the systems, on the computers and all of the instrumentation. And it's been really exciting to dive into all that. I love that stuff, and it's been really gratifying to start to learn how to leverage all of that infrastructure to be able to solve problems on the fly and understand the physics of what we're looking at and how all of these sensors and cameras and things interact. And also the being able to explore places on the planet that nobody's ever put an eyes on before is an awesome bonus.
Honestly, it's pretty cool. Well, and definitely, it's only been a few days, but this is one of the best things this expedition has been one of the best things I've ever experienced in my life, and it's been a blast to be with all of you. For me, I would say that one of the most gratifying moments or times that I have felt is just seeing the sunset at the end of every day and knowing that I get to have the honor and the privilege to hold all of your stories and your experiences. As a storyteller, that's the highest honor anyone can receive. And thank you so much for trusting me and for sharing your authentic selves with me and along with all of our viewers.
Thank you, Amanda, for being a great storyteller.
Thank you, all of you are so
keep
kind.
missing.
Always stimulating interesting conversations.
Miss every time.
Thank you so much for all of your kind words. I really appreciate it. Everyone has just been the absolute sweetest. Let's see. So something that I'm really curious about is just about all of your pathways. You know, I think it's such a miracle that all of us have made it here in this moment, at this time in our lives, that we get to share the same space on this ship and this expedition. Did you ever think that you would be here? Like, what made your, what was kind of the start of your journey here?
I guess I can start. I guess I have a long history compared to some.
It's just, you're just so amazing.
Well, I just...
We've
I
got a
grew
deep
up
dive, so start from the beginning.
Oh, boy. Growing up in Seattle, in the Seattle area, I always loved the water and
to fix that.
And spent a lot of time down at the beach, tide pooling, doing those sorts of things. But I didn't know anything about the deep sea, and we didn't have the Blue Planet series and things like that, so it wasn't as available as it would be today or even 20 years ago. And I went to college in San Diego, and I was fortunate to have a couple of professors who had worked in the deep sea, and one of the classes took us out on a boat, and we did a deep midwater trawl, and up came a fangtooth and a lanternfish, and I was just amazed that these fishes could exist that I had never heard of before, and they had lights and they had strange shapes, and I just thought that was incredible. And I think it was the same semester or maybe the next one, and I had another class, and the professor had been brought in to teach the class last minute, and so the first week the professor really didn't know what to do in lab, but he had done work at hydrothermal vents, and so he brought in 2 5-gallon buckets full of animals that had been collected by ROV from hydrothermal vents. And I bothered him for many hours looking through all of the animals in the bucket, again, just amazed that this stuff existed. So I decided then, I think it was about my second year of university, that I wanted to study the deep sea.
Wow, that's amazing.
So that's how it began.
And that's where you are now.
Well, there's a lot in between, but that might be the more interesting part.
You know, I admire like your kind of sense, your keen sense of detail, because you are pointing things out that I'm not even seeing. So how do you do it? How do you keep your eyes so sharp? Is it a lot of carrots or?
Well, I got reading glasses now, so I'm not sure how much those carrots made a difference. But no, I think it's just looking at these animals for a long while, and just spending a lot of time, you know, looking through guides and looking through videos, and just getting familiar with all of the animals down there over a career.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Greta, all the way from Italy.
Yeah. What the hell, right? So, yeah, actually my passion for the ocean, and especially for coral reefs, comes from a really early age. Like when I was a kid, my mom used to take me to the Red Sea, which is very close to Italy, like just a 4-hour flight. And I remember since the first time I saw a coral reef, which I was 8 years old, I came out of the water and I was like, Mom, I know it. I want to do this for the rest of my life. What do I have to do to get there? And she, being a geologist, the first advice she gave me was like, oh, you should become a marine biologist. That was like the first suggestion that came to her mind. And then after that, I kind of dedicated all my life to pursue this dream. I remember when I was 13 or 14 years old, and I was watching the first videos from the Nautilus and seeing all these weird deep sea creatures and thinking, oh my God, this is so fascinating. It's not just the coral reefs, it's the whole ocean that is just incredible, right? So I always try to target my studies to the best knowledge available possible to really get where I am right now, right? And I also get the fortune to have a very inspiring family at the back, because my mom is a geologist, also my dad was a marine geologist, and unfortunately he passed away when I was very young, but it has always been a great inspiration for me to follow his path, right? And yeah, so that led me to work as a dive guide for a while I was trying to find my way, sneak into the marine biology world, which is not easy as it seems. And eventually I landed this job at the Palau International Coral Reef Center. I have been in this position for 3 years now, and it's really my dream job. And working with them led me to this incredible opportunity to be on board of the Nautilus, which I never, ever, ever would have imagined that in my life I would end up on the Nautilus. And it's incredible because other than studying coral reefs and at Peak Reef we can study so many different things, like cetaceans, as I always talk about these whales, right?
Yeah.
And fish, and also the geology of Palau, and now also the deep sea. So I'm really keen to see where life will take me next.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel like you're on a great track.
Oh, yeah, I hope so. And it's been amazing so far. I'm so grateful.
Of course. Thank you so much for sharing. Noelle, could you talk to us about like your journey?
Sure. I always wanted to work in marine science, and I don't really have a pivotal memory of where that came from. I grew up in North Carolina. We'd always go to the coast. I had a great time doing that. None of my family is in science. This wasn't a path that I was really aware of what it looked like. I just had this idea in my head that I wanted to be in the water and understanding things. And I think the moment that I really realized there was a really interesting career path to take was in university. I had the chance to take a diving class, so I got my regular open water scuba certification, and then very quickly learned that there was such a thing called scientific diving, which meant that not only could I be underwater, but I could also be doing science and collecting data. Those courses are really expensive. It's not that easy to get your scientific diving license. It's always through university. There's a lot of walls and barriers to accomplish it. Thankfully, my university, the University of South Florida, had a really cool pathway that was set up by my professor, Dr. Chantal Begin, who's been a lifelong mentor at this point in my life, but she really did a lot of work to make some really cool scientific diving courses available for undergrad students. So I was able to secure some funding through some scholarships that the university offered to go to Curacao, and that was my first time diving on a coral reef, collecting data, understanding some of the challenges that I faced, and my mind was blown. Chantal was also there with her family, so she's a mom to 2 kids, and she had actually just given birth to her second kid. She does these field courses with her family in tow, so she had, you know, her 2 kids out there as she's like sharing information about the reefs, and it was really a powerful moment to be like, oh, you can kind of like have these really interesting career paths and build these lives and have a bunch of different things going on at the same time. And from there, I think that really opened up a lot of doors to continue working in shallow water ecosystems. So I spent the next several years after undergrad working at field stations in the Caribbean, mostly working on a number of different field projects. So we were surveying reefs, we were tagging turtles and sharks, we were, you know, working with local fishers to understand fishing pressure, understanding lobster recruitment. So really dabbling in a bunch of different kind of spheres of science. And yeah, I think from there, it's just saying yes to opportunities that came my way, identifying skills that I was really excited to continue to build on, and really just pursuing opportunities and meeting lots of amazing people that talked about different options for your life. And I think that there's just so much out there, and I didn't have a deep sea background. You know, that wasn't my pathway that led me here, but I think that there are so many skills that you can build in so many other disciplines that are really relevant for all the work that we're doing here with expedition planning and execution and the scientific management side of the world that really make it an interesting space to work in.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. I think it's wonderful that throughout that whole process, you just believed in yourself, and now you're here.
I don't know about that, but I think there were lots of other people that maybe put their belief in me.
Well, I definitely believe in you.
I'll just add something there that I think is really important, is to have really good mentors along the way. And, you know, those can be all kinds of mentors. My grandparents basically taking me tide pooling.
Wow.
The professors I mentioned at university, an outstanding graduate mentor when I was in graduate school, and postdoc mentors. And just when you find somebody who's willing to sort of share their expertise with you, it's really important to learn as much as you can and to really value those mentors in your life.
Yeah, definitely. It takes a community, you know, and we're never at this alone. And I think that's so gratifying to keep in mind. Manzel, could you talk about your journey to be with us?
Where do I start, Amanda? I feel like I come from humble beginnings. I come from a family of 8, my parents, and they had 6 children, and I'm the second to the youngest. And me being here today, honestly, is a testament to me being Palawan. A lot of the times people think you have to go out there and look for opportunities, but being Palawan, a lot of the times opportunities come to look for you, and it's up to you to have the proper work ethic and the curiosity and the motivation to go and get them. I started my career after high school in defense and security. I joined the United States Marine Corps, and after that I came back home and continued that work. And through that, of course, it's inevitable being from Palau. When you talk about security and defense, our borders are in the water, so it was expected. And doing that line of work, I was introduced to a lot of environmental advocacy, and I started kind of this parallel career path with environmental work and security and defense. But this specific opportunity came about when the Historical Preservation Office in Palau was looking for someone to be on board as a cultural liaison. And it was very hard because a lot of people who would be good in this job have kids and families, and um, luckily I knew the person who was looking for people to come on this position. I knew her personally, so she contacted me and asked me to do this. And being a person who comes from a family of fishermen and having a security and defense background, but also having experience in environmental work, I think it was fitting for me. But I never thought that I would have this opportunity to. I never knew that this was going to be the experience that it is today. But when it comes to my way to be here, I think every Palauan who is listening and is out there, the opportunity is out there. It's just up for you to grab it. Just have the right mindset. And what Jeff said about having a mentor, I always emphasize that when I talk to my peers and I talk to people younger than me. My mentor, her name is Marlene Ngamatur. She is the HR director for one of the biggest corporations in Palau. And she might not know this, but she was the one who kind of gave me the motivation to achieve what my parents could not. Yeah.
Thank you. And we're so grateful to have you. Thank you for sharing your story. Dan, the man, the drummer, and our navigator, could you tell us about your pathway?
Oh man, you're really hyping me up here.
How can I not? You know, what was it? Your album, your EP comes out in a day?
We had a debut on the Top Deck.
I'm gonna have to start paying for this promotion.
You're a rock star. What can I say?
Yeah, I can actually tie that into this. So, back in the high school days, I used to play music with my friend Thomas, and Thomas's stepfather was the captain of the research vessel at the Center for Coastal and Ocean Mapping at UNH. His name was Ben Smith, and he was sort of a legendary figure. He decided to go ahead and head to Estonia at one point in his life and build a sailboat out of steel in the style of Joshua Slocum's Spray. And then he brought Thomas and his sister and some cousins, and they sailed around a good part of the world. And that story always blew my mind. I couldn't even understand where Estonia was at that point. But I always thought of Ben Smith as sort of a mythical figure. And as luck had it, I ended up going to the University of New Hampshire, and I studied marine biology and ocean engineering because I just couldn't get enough from one major. And I used to go through the employee directory every time summer came around, and I would try to find all of the professors who were doing something that I thought was interesting, and I would either call them directly or just walk into their office and see if they would employ me. And so I ended up getting a job in the IT department one summer at the Center for Coastal and Ocean Mapping. And as things progressed, Ben Smith ended up hiring me as his mate after some time there. And so I started working on the research vessel, and I started getting really interested in ocean mapping. I was always interested in physics, and ocean mapping provided this really cool connection between physics and the ocean and underwater acoustics. And so once I finished undergrad, I ended up getting into the graduate program and doing a graduate degree in ocean mapping, and I got my own captain's license, and that put me in a position where I developed a skill set that made me well suited for this position that I'm serving in right now, where we are both mapping the seafloor and navigating the vessel, and trying to understand the inputs from all of the different sensors to make smart decisions and make our dives go smoothly. So that's it.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. It's so cool that you were just knocking on doors being like, I'm here, I'm skilled, take me.
Yeah, I would really encourage people to be bold and go and do things like that. Universities have an amazing amount of opportunity available to students, but you can't sit there and wait for the opportunities to come to you. You need to be clear that you want those opportunities. And when you are, I think there's a lot of people who get excited to sort of make your dreams happen and help you develop into the person you want to be.
Spoken like a true navigator, getting to chart your own course.
Yeah, gotta get a nautical pun in there somewhere.
Josh, you know, what got you here with this really cool control set in front of you?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, you know, like everyone here, you know, some different twists and turns. It took me a while to kind of figure out what I wanted to do at university. Tried a few different things, traveled a bunch. But I ended up actually, my background is actually in marine biology. I studied marine invertebrates on Vancouver Island, Banfield Marine Station. Spent quite a bit of time there. And kind of started on I guess a similar path. And I became a scientific diver, spent a lot of time underwater. And I ended up working, never really heard of an ROV before at that point, and started consulting with a group that was collecting data with divers, and they had an ROV system there. And so we started using that as a tool because, of course, it could go deeper than we could dive and stay in the water longer. And it just kind of, I got really it just sort of triggered a real interest in me to understand the technology. You know, ROVs break all the time. So we were trying to fix them. And the ROV kind of community on Vancouver Island is actually pretty strong, but small. And that's kind of where my mentors in that area kind of kicked in. I met some people there that helped me to understand how these systems worked, and how also technically, but also how to use them effectively. And it just kind of splintered my path a bit, and I kind of took a turn and just got really into RVs and trying to understand them. And I spent a lot of time around Vancouver Island using them as a survey tool, doing the science, like collecting the data. So still doing that, but then just really trying to leverage the technology as much as I could to make it a valuable tool in what we were doing. And then with that, I just my network grew, and I met people and went after opportunities that came about. I did a bunch of different things. I ended up moving away from scientific diving into a more of an engineering group that was developing some weird technology I spent 5 years with a group developing ROV technology that could harvest trees underwater. So I kind of got really into engineering there for a while and helped to develop and build 3 different ROVs with that group. And then from there, I met other people and ended up offshore. Started doing this mix of offshore and inshore, like bigger vehicle systems, other ships, and eventually met some people that worked here and ended up here on my first contract in 2013. And I've been sailing every year on Nautilus since then. And just really enjoyed that. Just kind of a bit self-taught, I guess, in the engineering side. So I'm not actually an engineer, but I do kind of manage a lot of engineering group and understand just enough to be annoying to the engineers, I guess. But yeah, Nautilus is just the perfect mix, right? I get to do the biology side and the science, which I've sort of my background, and then I get to be involved in engineering and management and now kind of overall operations. So it's been a lot of twists and turns to get here, but it was pretty fun.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. When you say self-taught, like, what do you mean? Did you read a bunch of books? Did you watch a bunch of videos? Just talk to a bunch of people?
I broke a lot of things. I've pretty much broken everything that you could break on an ROV, and yeah, you do a lot of research. You do a lot of scratching your head, a lot of trying to figure out how to read a schematic. Yeah, you just watch watch a lot of YouTube videos, and talk to a lot of people. And you have a lot of like you say, it takes a village of people, and it takes a real mix of talents to run an ROV system. There's a lot of pieces of it that you just can't know everything, right? So you have to have a lot of people that have knowledge in those areas, and you teach each other, and that's really what it's all about.
100%. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Rai, could you talk to us about your pathway?
Yeah. So I spent part of my childhood growing up on a 25-foot sailboat on Vancouver Island. And so yeah, like a lot of my childhood was spent just with a butterfly net and a bucket full of water, just collecting as many things as I could and watching them all day and then pouring them out at the end of the day. So the sea has always kind of felt a little inevitable to me. I think I didn't really plan to end up here at all. I never really specifically sought out the marine sector. I think I just kind of took for granted that, I've only ever spent, I think, max 2 weeks in a row away from the ocean. I get very claustrophobic when I'm away from it. I don't like being inland. And so I think I just kind of gravitated towards this without really thinking a lot about it. So my training is, I did a mechanical engineering degree at the University of Victoria. And when I started doing work experience, I found a job with Oceanworks Canada, which kind of brought the sea back to me. So they do a lot of work on small vessels and large vessels like the Nautilus. And so a lot of that field work kind of reminded me that this is sort of where I feel the most at home. And then yeah, through that I met the people on the Nautilus, and here I am.
That's so beautiful, and we're glad to have you with us. I think it's so cool that you lived on a sailboat for a good part of your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a really, really neat way to grow up.
Yeah. Do you have any memorable moments from your time living on the boat?
Well, I used to climb the mast. The whole boat is like a jungle gym for a small child. And so, they'd be looking for me, and I'd be laughing because I was up high, staring down at everybody looking for me. I learned to swim probably by the time I was 2.5 or 3, because a child on a boat, you gotta learn to swim. But yeah, and then some of the sailing that we did in the small islands that we visited were definitely really memorable.
That is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, and so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
See, Max, could you talk to us about your pathway?
Yeah, sorry. Just 1 second.
Yeah, of course. Take all the time that you need.
So I grew up in the Seattle area. My mom She's an environmental educator. She used to be a national park ranger at a couple different parks. So I definitely had a very outdoorsy childhood. Spent a lot of time tide pooling. I have good memories of my mom. She'd take me out of elementary school every year for the lowest tide of the year. I get to skip school and go to the beach, look for invertebrates and whatnot. And yeah, basically just as a child going tide pooling in Seattle, known I wanted to do marine science. Then I volunteered at the Seattle Aquarium in high school, which was a really awesome opportunity. Just like fell so in love with science communication and outreach, talking to hundreds of visitors every day about whatever cool organisms or marine biology concepts. Then just graduated from Berkeley with a degree in marine science and film. I've been trying to just get as much experience as I can doing whatever I can. This has been really awesome, just getting to be on the Nautilus, using both of my degrees. I really love filmmaking and I love outreach and talking to people. And this is really just uniting all of my passions into one single position, which has been super cool. I've done a lot of jobs doing just science communication and outreach, at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. And then also done jobs just doing marine science stuff too. So really been a little all over the place, but stuff like this is exactly what I would love to do. So very excited to be here.
That's awesome. So you mentioned that you did some work at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. What sort of critters do they have?
The Monterey Bay Aquarium's got a really diverse array. It's a massive aquarium. But I think the coolest thing, or the most special thing they have, is the deep sea exhibit with Mbari right there. It's a Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute. They have a suite of ROVs as well, and so they're able to take and collect critters from the deep sea, some really cool jellies and ctenophores that are not anywhere else in an aquarium anywhere in the world, because they're from hundreds of meters or even over 1,000 meters deep. It does take a lot of finesse and care to get those creatures up to the surface, and then to keep them alive in captivity also is a whole thing. But yeah, they just have some of the best aquarists in the world and really talented people there.
Mm-hmm. And did you enjoy your time there? What were some of your memorable moments? I've never worked in an aquarium, so I'm very curious.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I loved working there. My position was outreach, talking to the public. But I don't know, every day it just felt like you'd talk to someone new who has a different perspective on the ocean. It's awesome talking to a kid who has a different perspective and is just excited about everything. And then you talk to a fisherman, who also has their own perspective and what fish tastes the most delicious at the aquarium. Just getting all of those perspectives is really cool. Just one highlight I always think about is watching them feed the sturgeons. Sort of random, but sturgeons have really poor eyesight, and so when a diver goes in the tank, it's time to feed. Most of the fish flock to the diver, so they see the diver, but the sturgeon has no idea what's going on, so it just goes about its business. And the divers would actually chase down the sturgeon, and have to almost shove the food into their mouth, waving it in front of their barbels so they smell it. And I always thought that was the funniest thing in the world, that you have this 8-foot-long animal that just is unable to feed itself. Always made me laugh.
That is so cool. Thank you so much for sharing. That's amazing. I would say that my pathway, like so many of yours, I didn't expect myself to be in this chair, and it's been such a wonderful experience. I grew up on the island of Guam. When I was growing up, my older brother, used to pick me up from elementary school, and he'd take me to the beach, and I just go beachcombing, look at shells, at the little fish that would come up in the tide, and my parents would welcome me home and be like, why are your pockets all sandy? What is going on? Why are you wet? And I also used to read a lot of Nat Geo issues. When I had cable, I would watch a lot of David Attenborough and his beautiful voice just narrate the moments of our natural world. And growing up, I always wanted to be a storyteller, to not exactly be the person experiencing these wonderful sights, but to be able to talk about the wonderful people doing the exploring. And I think I was around 19 years old. This was around 8 years ago when I came across the Nautilus Live video on the googly-eyed stubby squid. And if you haven't seen that video, it's a purple squid. It looks like someone's lost toy, like a sock puppet, with huge googly eyes that was just left on the seafloor. And I was just so amazed by like the reactions from the people in the control room, their delight, their curiosity, their confusion. Why was this thing here? And I was just thinking about like, I want to be in that room. It would be an absolute dream to be in that room, to share a space with people who are just as curious and excited about the world as I am. And so I pursued journalism and mass media communications at the University of Guam, and I later landed a job in broadcast journalism. I was a news anchor as well as a morning news anchor for a little bit, and then I eventually went back to the University of Guam. I just can't. I just can't stop, right? And I landed a position as a science writer, and I got to write a lot about the work of the marine biologists there, and then I got into freelancing, and I applied for a position here, and now I'm here, and it's been such a wonderful experience, and I'm so grateful to be able to share this room with you. I think it's so wonderful that all of our stories have kind of illustrated that you never know where your curiosity will take you. And sometimes all you have to do is trust it. And you'll never know what you'll find. I guess that's just the life of an explorer, you know? But yeah, thank you so much for sharing. So I kind of understand that kind of along the pathway, none of our paths have been quite so linear, like a straight line. And that sometimes we can experience doubts, like, can we do this? Like, am I really that capable? Unlike Dan, who is like fearless and can break down doors, right? Asking for jobs, like, I'm skilled, I'm here, take me or not, come on, right? So, like, you know, when you experience those moments, if you have, like, what got you through it? This is just an open question to the room.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah, so when you've experienced doubt, like during your pathway, like, can I do this? Am I capable? What has gotten you through those moments? Was it ice cream and a phone call to friends, or?
I guess maybe just hope and, you know, keep working hard, keep studying, and keep looking. Never give up, right? Yeah. Trying to reach out to as many people as possible and never let yourself down, you know, keep fighting, keep pursuing your dreams, and eventually you'll get there. The more you believe in that, I guess, the more that's gonna eventually happen.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. You need to lean on your community. How about you, Noel?
Also, there's an element of feeling that uncomfortableness of the being new, or trying something new, or doing something that feels out of your comfort zone, and just kind of showing up anyways, and just continuing to be there and like sit with that level of being at the edge of your comfort zone and trusting that you're going to figure it out. I think it's a funny thing that we all do, that we think that everyone else knows exactly what's going on all the time, and that level of imposter syndrome about like, I'm the new one, or the one who shouldn't be here, or who doesn't have the skill set. But then you come on the ship and realize that everyone here is also here to learn and engage, and is constantly taking on new challenges, and not always comfortable, and still here and still showing up. And I think for me that's been an important part of it.
I think you have a very good point there, Noel. I remember before I actually started in this career that I was looking at all the other scientists as like they were sort of gods. And I could never get there because, oh my God, they're incredible. How do they reach that level of knowledge and skill and whatsoever? And then when you find yourself in between these amazing people, which are still amazing and brilliant, you understand that they are in fact human beings just like you. And yeah, so true, Noel. Very good point.
I think it's in that environment that you also realize that you are amazing and brilliant.
Yeah, I can get there too.
I, on the other hand, I live for the awkward moments and the self-doubts and in and of it all. Like, for some reason, being from humble beginnings, I always had to fight for attention. So whenever I feel like that, I feel like I'm progressing and evolving as a human being. So one thing that I always do is say yes to everything. Whenever something happens, being asked to do something, I always say yes. And even if it's uncomfortable, I know that I will say yes to the next thing. I'll move on. So that's always been my driving factor. Yeah.
I love that. I love, seeing doubt as not just a challenge, but an opportunity to grow.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
How about you, Jeff?
How about what?
Well, we all know that you are amazing and so skilled and knowledgeable, but like, have you ever experienced doubt? Like, is that even possible for you?
Imposter syndrome lives with you for an entire career.
Oh, wait, what do you mean?
No, I mean, I think it's just natural to doubt whether you really got to where you are because you deserve it or because you just got lucky, right? And that's, I think, I certainly feel that way a lot of times, and just being in the right place at the right time and having the right people to show you the way. So
you believe in luck?
Yeah.
I guess you're pretty lucky.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know what graduate school was when I went to college, and I had no idea. I mean, there's nobody in my family who was a scientist, and so it was just kind of, I had a college buddy who convinced me that, yeah, I probably should do some research while I was an undergrad, and I just I don't know, got directed to some extent. I mean, I guess I said yes to the opportunities like you were saying, Manzel. But yeah, just I think there's a bit of luck involved in there too, and just ended up in the right places and had really good people around me. So yeah, there's a lot of very brilliant people in the world, and so it's easy to feel out of place even when you end up in a academic department somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's important to note that saying yes while having the right people around you is important, because you can also say yes to the wrong things.
Definitely. It's so important to have an encouraging environment that helps you grow. Thank you so much for sharing that with Jeff. I just want to let you know, I've never doubted your capability. Your eyes are so sharp, even with those reading glasses. I think, I think you are lucky. But I think at this point in time in your career, in your life, all of the great things that have happened to you can't just be coincidence. That's because of you and your drive and your belief in yourself. Ooh, it's fun. You're amazing. That's all I can say.
Thanks for being encouraging.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. Look, I'm giving these compliments because I'm giving you what you're giving me. This is what I truly think of all of you. And it's been such a privilege and a blessing to be able to share this space with you. So before I get to the front row, I just wanted to welcome all of our new viewers. Ali, and welcome. We are currently on our way to explore an unnamed seamount west of Babeldeob Island, just outside the boundaries of the Palau National Marine Sanctuary, which was mapped for the first time by EV Nautilus. This is a 20-hour dive with goals to survey the diversity and distribution of deep-sea benthic communities and look at the area's geologic features to better understand the age and volcanic history of the region. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, any comments, please send them over on nautiluslive.org. So Max, continuing our conversation, have you ever experienced doubt on your journey? I remember you talking about the other day that you had actually applied for your position multiple times before you got in.
Yeah, that's true. I did apply a couple times before I finally slipped through the cracks. Right? Yeah, I certainly have felt a lot of doubt at a lot of points. I think this imposter syndrome is so real, as many people have said. But something I've been trying to keep in mind with regards to imposter syndrome is like, we're in the middle of the ocean, and I feel like we're all sort of imposters in a way, because like, people aren't meant to be in the middle of the ocean, I don't really think. So, it's just a perspective I've been trying to keep in mind.
You know, what kept you applying? What was that kind of inner drive in yourself?
Well, I guess this particular position just aligns so well with my career interests that I was extremely motivated to continue applying. And I've been watching the Nautilus live streams for a number of years. So, yeah, I guess just keeping motivated. And it can be really rough out there, especially as like a recent grad to find work. So what's really worked well for me is just being like open to new types of jobs and new opportunities. I've applied for some really like an extremely wide array of positions. So just like keep applying to whatever opportunities and whatever jobs, because you never know what you'll get into. I mean, for the most part, it's going to be rejections, at least in my experience. But just like keep rolling with the punches and just keep sending out those applications and trying to find new opportunities to further your career, and eventually something's bound to work out, right?
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for that. You know, as someone who is early career, I think it's so important to just keep on believing in yourself and persevering. You kept on trying, and you got in, and you're here with us with like the coolest headset out of everyone on this watch. I'm actually kind of jealous.
Yeah, it's a pretty comfy headset, gotta say.
Pretty sweet. How about you, Rye? You know, have you ever experienced any sort of doubt on your journey, and how did you deal with it?
No, just kidding. All the time, constantly. I have no idea how. I have no advice for anybody on how to deal with it, except I hope one day I just get too tired to feel like an imposter. Yeah, I don't know. I think kind of what Noelle said, you just do it scared. Mm-hmm. That's what you do. But yeah, I have not personally found much that, besides trying to logically remember that it takes people of all sorts to make a team like this function, and not no one person can be everything.
No, thank you so much for that. Honestly, I think it's very admirable to know and see you walk into this room like every day, despite and even with those thoughts. Like you continue to show up for all of us and for yourself. And I've never doubted your ability. And I don't think anyone ever has. So I believe in you, and we all do.
Thanks.
How about you, Josh? I remember earlier in a conversation that you said that you would break things on your journey as a self-taught engineer. Have you ever experienced any sort of doubt?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, breaking things and failing is where you learn the most, in my experience. But I don't know. I think just being okay with not knowing something and then saying, yeah, I don't know about that. Let me go figure that out and teach yourself about, or pull in your resources or talk to your people. That's what kind of, I mean, isn't that what drives science anyway? We're curious, we ask questions, we don't know about something, so you study it and try and gain some knowledge around that, whatever it is that you don't have enough knowledge for. So it's sort of like, in a bigger picture sense, this is why we're here, because we don't know. And so it's okay not to know about everything, but it's sort of what you do with that, I guess, is the difference. So do you just say, okay, I don't know about that, and that's where it stays, or do you get curious and motivated and break down doors and talk to people and figure things out for yourself so you can understand it. I guess that's what I think is the people that are here are the ones that go and try and figure it out.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. And speaking of breaking down doors, Dan, have you ever experienced doubt? Is that something that exists in your world?
Oh man. Yeah, I'm scared all the time, despite what Amanda thinks. Yeah, I think everyone feels that, and you just have to come to terms with the fact that everyone feels that, even if they don't openly portray it. But I think one of the most powerful things you can do is be willing to be an amateur before you're an expert, and just put yourself out there and be genuinely interested in other people. And when you show other people your interest, then they share what they have with you most of the time. So I've been an amateur at a lot of things. I'm an amateur at this, and I'm scared right now. I don't know why, but for some reason speaking in public forums like this brings my heart rate up a little bit. But I think that's fine, and you don't need to pick and prune every thought. I'm a person who prefers to write things down and pick every word carefully before I try to say something. But this is a great shot at being an amateur at that, and trying to speak off the cuff. And I have a quick, I think my most valiant story of going from amateur to expert in this context was in grad school. I didn't really have much of a computer science background, but I tend to like to sign myself up for things that are totally out of my depth and then see if I can do it. And so I signed up for a thesis project that involved reverse engineering a sonar system, and my advisor actually had an NDA with the company who had produced the sonar system that I was going to reverse engineer, so he literally could not talk to me to help me with the project. And so I sat with this thing at my desk, and I put the transducer in a bucket of water, and I played with it in all different ways, and I spent lots and lots of time looking at forums and learning how things are encoded and how to try to parse the data, and it took longer than anything's ever taken me in my life. It probably took the better part of a year, and most of that was just struggling in the dark and just trying to get something to make sense. But that was one of the most empowering experiences, because after all of that struggle, I made it work, and I learned probably more than I ever have in a project, just sitting there and embracing my amateurism.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. It's always worth it to be an amateur, because as you practice at it, as you try, you'll always get better each time, even if it's just a little bit. But that little bit will always matter because you're a little bit better. Thank you so much for sharing. I just want to say that I've always enjoyed our conversations on and off watch, and that you're amazing and that you're so cool and awesome. And I'm very excited for your album dropping.
Well,
gonna
I
find you?
return all of those compliments. I think you're the most prolific complimenter I've ever met. And
Oh, that's true.
you
That's
raise the
so true.
spirits of everyone around you. And honestly, I don't know how you do the job that you're doing. That would terrify me down to the core. So
I do it with so much joy because I get to do it with all of you.
That deserves a certificate. Prolific complimenter.
Thank you. I'll make that a pin.
Yeah, yesterday I had to tell Amanda, stop complimenting me. Like, please. Like,
I can't stop.
making all of us blush.
I'll stop when you give me a reason to, but I can't. I can't. All of you are just too amazing. You know, I too have experienced imposter syndrome. Actually, before I stepped into the airport on Guam, I was just like, oh my God, can I do this? Can I get on this boat? Can I talk to these people? Can I exist in the same space as them? Like, am I smart enough? Am I skilled enough? Can I do this? And then I went inside.
You can.
Yes, yes, you can.
Thank you. And that's always the answer, you know, isn't it? I think it can be intimidating to be in a room full of bright and wonderful and smart people. But I think that the key there is to remember that you are also in that room. And by you being in that room, already you belong there. And, you know, our journeys have taken us through so many turns, many twists. We've faced some sort of form of rejection, something breaking down, or someone saying no to an opportunity that we really wanted. But, you know, we kept trying. And I don't know if that was just a sort of like inner belief in ourselves or just because we just wanted to see what would happen. But I think it's amazing to know that I can just be here in this room with you, all of these bright and wonderful and smart people, and that I get to explore the wonders of the world with you. So thank you so much. It's been a privilege and an honor. Let's see. Our viewers are so sweet. They're saying, I love this for you all. One viewer said, we all have the ability to do amazing wonders, but not all have the capacity to pursue the inner ability unless you have the perseverance to take the risk to jump out of the box beyond your inner doubt. Have faith and believe in yourself to do amazing wonders. We got some poets in the chat here. It's been amazing. We also have had like a few grad students who have been listening to the stream as they study and as they work on their theses. And it's been so wonderful to know that they found like these conversations that we've been having this morning especially encouraging. And I just want to tell you all that all of you are superstars, a rock star in Dan's case, and role models. So thank you so much. So just wanted to provide a little bit of context for our new viewers who just tuned in. Ali and welcome. We are currently on our way to explore an unnamed seamount west of Babeldaob Island, just outside the boundaries of the Palau National Marine Sanctuary, which was mapped for the first time by EV Nautilus. This is a 20-hour dive with goals to survey the diversity and distribution of deep-sea benthic communities and look at the area's geologic features to better understand the age and volcanic history of the region. If you have any questions, any comments, we love them all. Please send them over on nautiluslive.org. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing, everyone. How's everyone feeling right now?
Cold.
Also, oh my gosh, let me see where you are. Oh, you are bundled up. You look like a sock.
You got a hat and a hoodie on. Probably 2 pairs of socks, I'm guessing.
I have 2 t-shirts on under this hoodie.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's just cold and scared over there.
Yeah, cold and scared.
Curled into a ball.
You know, I admire your inner stability because I did not, like as you were talking, I didn't hear your voice shiver at any one point.
That's amazing because it feels like it is.
Your teeth are chattering and everything.
Yeah.
We'll wait when Greta comes back on, but she was just telling me that she's got on 6 layers. So she's joined you as a fellow sock in our control room. Oh, speaking of which, we'll just wait and give her a second to come on.
We need some like Nautilus blankets.
Oh, that would.
Yeah, no, I'm being the good Canadian, just in my shorts and t-shirt, and I'm fine.
Josh, I don't know how you do
I've
it.
been here for almost 3 weeks. I've adjusted.
I've been 20 years in Hawaii, and my blood has thinned so much. Can't do it.
I'm embracing the cold. Feels good.
Okay, I think that is a, so Greta, just to fill you in, we were just talking about Dan looking like a sock right now because it's
getting
so cold.
roasted today.
Warming you up, yeah.
It's lovely to be roasted.
Alternating the compliments with the roasting.
It's not a roast, it's a toast. Okay, lovingly toasted.
I don't think he's feeling very toasted.
Not toasty now.
You know, like a marshmallow, right? Anyway, we're getting that golden brown. Greta, we were just talking about like how cold it is. And you were talking to me this morning about how you brought 6 layers.
Actually, I think it's more. Let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's actually 6. Actually,
6?
yeah, it was spot on. 6 layers.
My goodness.
But I'm good now.
Well, you know.
How are you managing your hydration?
Yeah, that's the hardest part. I usually need a lot of water, but I have to keep
It's a
not drink too
specific
much.
management.
I cannot leave this position too often, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah. I'm cold, but I just don't like wearing layers. It's,
Oh, wow.
I don't know why.
Sheer will and excitement.
Yeah.
He's there with his shorts and t-shirt.
And socks and Birkenstocks.
Oh my God, Birkenstocks. So yeah, you and Dan are our socks of the control van. You exist as a pair, as socks do. Let's see. I think, you know, Josh, since you mentioned you have no layers, you're in the coldest part. You're in one of the coldest parts of the control room. So this is kind of a question for the room. What is your idea of cold? Considering that we all come from very different places.
Well, I swim year-round on Vancouver Island, which does not get a lot of snow, but in January it is
It's pretty
pretty
cold in
cold.
January.
So whenever the bio box comes up and all the samples have been taken out, I like to stick my hands in it and feel like I'm at home. Which usually is about, what is it, like 3 degrees or
Yeah,
something?
I was about to say. Oh
Are we
my
getting
god.
beams on Doppler yet? No.
Not yet.
I'm just working my camera down step by step.
See how good the mappers are.
Dan, I just wanted to say that you have a shout out from one of our viewers. They said, please ask Dan to say hello to Pa. Thanks.
Oh yeah, hey Paul, what's up? It's you, buddy.
Starting to
Pa
get
is
beams on
my
Doppler.
Pa's my 98-year-old grandfather who is also Daniel Torriello and is also always cold. His apartment is usually 80 degrees, so I'm a big fan of going over there and hanging out.
That's awesome.
And I'm glad he got to tune in.
Welcome. Thank you. That's so special to share. I hope that both of you are warm enough. But Dan, you know, considering your current status, what do you consider cold?
Well, I live in New Hampshire, so it's kind of embarrassing that I'm this freezing in the South Pacific, but
80 meters.
yeah, I feel cold. Anything below 60 degrees is what I consider cold most of the time.
Let's we'll come all stop at 30 off and then
Yeah.
we'll get it set up.
Sounds good.
And
Right,
Max,
we are 70 meters from the seafloor.
awesome.
70.
Thank you for that.
Copy.
Check. Let's see. And so how about you, Josh? You in rocking your t-shirt and your shorts. What do you consider cold?
What do I consider cold? I don't know. Probably the shower in App Science right now because there's no hot water in it.
Wait, you don't take cold showers already?
Actually have been. I've been sort of embracing that, taking a cold shower, and it's been all right. And usually that one's open because there's no hot water. So.
No. And you, Max?
I don't know. Seattle's pretty similar to Vancouver, so probably similar temperature tolerance. I'm wearing shorts too, so.
Wow. I admire all of you. Let's see. And you, Noel?
Yeah, Noel.
I'm not sure if I win or lose this conversation, but I live in Fairbanks, Alaska. The coldest temperature that I have experienced is -50 Fahrenheit.
Oh my God.
That's pretty cold.
That's pretty cold.
Why is there negative?
But I would say anything below like -10 is like quite cold.
That's not even a positive number.
That's not a positive.
Well below freezing.
How about you guys?
So, after living for 3 years in Palau, I'd say anything below 23 degrees Celsius or 74 Fahrenheit, for me, it's cold. So you can imagine here, I'm not sure, probably we are around 19 Celsius or less.
Wow. And
My
you, Jeff?
depth is jumping around a lot.
Oh, I've lived in Hawaii
Okay.
for 20
I'm
years.
about 30.
So
Yeah,
my
I'll
my
stop there.
definition of cold is probably 65 degrees. That's when you know, my kids are wrapping themselves in blankets on the couch,
Wow.
and you see students walking across campus in sweaters in Hawaii.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
That's really, really cold for people in Hawaii.
For me, as someone who has been living on an island all their lives,
We can switch over to DVL if you haven't already.
70
Yeah.
degrees is chilly for me. And wrapping this up, how about you, Manzel?
Same as you. Anything below 70 or 20 degrees Celsius is cold for me,
I'm
but
gonna switch to.
that's
special,
for my
special.
Palauans out there. But I went to school in Tasmania, so I am used to it. I usually, when I came home to visit, my mom's like, "Are you sick?" But yeah, anything below 70.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for that.
I'm not sure that I'm over there.
So to our viewers, we are currently on our way to explore an unnamed seamount west of Babeldaob Island, just outside the boundaries of the Palau National Marine Sanctuary. If you have any questions, please send them over on allthislive.org.
We're headed kind of southeastish, so I'll come out, I'll find you, and then I'll sort of come out here, and we can spin around. So we're gonna go down a little bit. It would have been a USBL. You can switch back to USBL for now, so we just at least have position, then maybe we can try it again when we get to C4 too.
So, a question for our pilots. How far are we until max depth?
We're about 18 meters from the seafloor. It'll take us maybe 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes till we're all kind of like set up our cameras to our checks until we're kind of ready to go. So we'll just be kind of focused on that for the next little bit.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Comps look good.
Comps are good. All right, do you want to